Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to a new vlog. This may be a little bit different than what you're used to. These videos are usually vlog style, filmed on a professional camera, but today I wanted to just film on an iPhone and show you guys my new Potenza RE71Rs, or Potenza, however you want to pronounce it. These are from Bridgestone and they're going on my 2018 F80 M3. These were actually live pictures I was just using as some video clips to show you guys. I took a couple pictures for the Spencer Berke Garage account and my main one, but I decided to go over to my friend's shop over in Long Beach, California. He invited me to come over and check out his shop. It's a family-owned business and he's been a subscriber for quite some time, so I wanted to show him some support. They were doing the mounting of the tires, and then also we decided to do an alignment on the car just because it needed it. It was pulling to the right a little bit. These were tires for a 720S that he had coming in later that day. They're 315s, I believe. Oh my God. Very expensive tires, but they're really, really good. I think my friend Ashton would love these. Might have to get this for him. One of the funny things is that I had posted about the certain size that I wanted for the OEM setup, and I went with a 265 up front and a 285 in the rear, which I'm currently running 15mm spacers all around from Motorsport Hardware. And you can see here that I was a little bit worried about not having any camber in the rear and running a spacer plus a 285 on an OEM, but there was no shoulder roll or poke or any of the tire hanging over the wheel, and it wasn't too close, but it was cutting it a little bit closer than what I had anticipated. So we decided to modify the fender later in this video, but this is one of the guys that works there. He is the main guy who helped me out, and he had his Mercedes, which is super clean. I don't know how he keeps it that clean, and it's a black car. So we put everything on just to check everything and make sure, and thankfully there was no rubbing in the beginning. But unfortunately, when I left, I took a corner a little bit hard and I noticed some rubbing. So we solved that later in this video, like I said. Now, the most difficult thing was the fact that I'm running a 19. I didn't have time to buy 18s just yet, so I decided to go ahead and run these because I wanted to have a good tire for the track day, and I just didn't want to have to deal with buying rims right away that I wasn't happy with, or wheels, whatever you want to call it. So the front end is actually reverse rake. I don't know why F80s run like this, but I am so excited to get coilovers on this thing finally. So the owner of the shop, they ended up taking the car out for a quick test drive, which I was okay with it, I guess. I mean, it's whatever, but I wanted to go for myself and kind of see, which I did at the end of the day. But the good thing is that the tires fit. There was no rubbing off the bat. I went with these ones because there were a couple other options. I tried to get the Nanking AR1, and also I tried to get the Nanking CR1, but 19s are a bit harder to find. And like I said, I just want to run 18s, man. I could not wait. So the car looked great. It had much more of a beefier look. I really liked having the spacer on there, and I didn't want to have to sacrifice taking that off. So we decided to keep it on. But man, it's weird to see my car driving. It looks really good with that setup. So a lot of people commented on my picture on Spencer Berke Garage talking about how, why don't you just run a 10 mil or a 5 mil if you're having problems with a 15? And the answer to that is I want to have a setup that I really like the look of. When you look at a lot of race cars, the tire can make or break the entire look, and I wanted the most aggressive I could. And the hardest part with this car is that you cannot adjust the front camber without a certain bolt, and the rear camber can only go so far, and I really couldn't do much. So we put the car on the alignment rack and decided that we would do as much as we could to get the car to drive completely straight. We discovered that the toe was off in the right rear, and I'm pretty sure that's because I had went off at the track last time and I hit the rumble strips pretty hard, and I think that may have done it. But we fixed it and the car drives fine now. But the whole idea behind it is the look. I wanted that race car, track car look of filling out the fenders completely, especially with the F80, where you can technically run a 315 if you really wanted to have that huge rear fender just filled out completely and look really beefy from the back, which this setup achieves that perfectly. Especially from the side, you can kind of see the tire sticks out a lot more. It does cause rock chips a little bit more often, but I have PPF on parts of the car and I do plan on wrapping it. So at the end of the day, I was very happy with the service. It took a little bit longer than expected, but overall everything got done how I wanted to. I drove the car home and it feels amazing. I'm so happy to have a tire that can actually grip now, coming from a dealership tire. the Ventus V12, which is not a terrible tire, but at the end of the day, it is not made for what I'm trying to achieve. And these tires made the car feel much more planted, made me much more confident in my driving. And there was a 720S that showed up. He was going on a rally and he was there to get new tires too. So I do have track pads on, which I do have a video coming soon, which I heard it behind me from very far. It squeals super loud, but I decided to take a couple pictures and here is the final result. The car looks great. The back is completely filled up. I had a lot of people comment asking if I got suspension, but the main reason why it looks like that is due to a 35 sidewall. Running a 35 sidewall all around really gives it a beefier look as far as the thickness of the tire, and that's what I was going for. So definitely happy that I achieved that. So on the drive home, I saw this Mercedes, and I guess it's a C63R. I don't know. And then the next day I saw a Rivian, the new electric truck, which I cannot wait to see those on the road. So when I went home that night, I discovered that the car was rubbing more than what I anticipated because we could not do more camber in the back. So I went over to my friend's house, David. He has a S2000. He does professional rolling and trimming in Orange County. If you guys want to hit him up, you can. I'll put his Instagram below. But he has done over 7,000 of these jobs as far as rolling fenders and doing fender liner trims and pulling them out to give more room for big wheels. So I pulled my car into his garage. Really cool setup. I admire the hustle. He's really good at what he does. I've seen a lot of his work before. So the cool thing is right away he kind of knew what the issue was. There's this tab that I'll show you guys in one sec, and also the fender liner. It really causes a obstruction in the way of the tire under full compression. Now, there was barely any rubbing when you would just drive straight, but when you go over a curb or a bump, or you take an on-ramp going pretty fast, you would start to hear it in the back, start to push against the fender liner. As you can see right here, he's trying to show the tab, which all that right there you can see was a little bit of rubbing, and it was just due to the fact that I could not run any camber in the back. So the hardest part is that not being able to have any adjustability with the OEM suspension, but down the line I do have plans for other suspension. So you can see right there he pulled out one of the pieces from the trim. Basically he just took a razor blade or a cutting blade and cut off a portion of the fender liner where you're still retaining enough to cover everything below underneath the fender itself. So he started pulling off just the rears and did some cutting, and this is kind of where you can see the tab right there. It's a weird area, but it holds the bolt for the rear bumper and it sticks out pretty far right there. And that's what the tire was rubbing on since I pushed the tire all the way out to the fender and it was hitting right there. So we could shave that down enough to the point where it's still safe to have, and then also make room by removing some of the fender liner. That way down the line when I do run a 305 or a 295 or whatever, or now with my current setup, that there's plenty of room. And right there he's making some precision cuts just to make that extra room and to not have any kind of rubbing again under full compression, especially hitting the rumble strips at the track. I do not want to have any kind of damage done to my fender in any kind of way. And that was it. It was very easy. It took about 30 minutes, and this is kind of his signature picture he takes for all of the cars that he works on, which I love it, man. It's so consistent and it shows you what he does, and it was very easy. So big shout out to him for doing that for me. Thank you so much. It was extremely simple to do. Just finished up getting the fenders trimmed only in the back, and we're good. I went over a couple bumps and I went through a couple on-ramps pretty fast, and we're good. So thank you to my friend David for doing that. And that was pretty much it. Like I said, I drove the car. It felt great. I'm going to do a video coming soon on going to the track with this new setup on these tires. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And also, I hope you like this style of video. Peace.